in order to bring itself forward. I mean, and that's really, and what's interesting about that, I think, is that it isn't obviously just the plot of Pinocchio. It's virtually the plot of any story, is the story of the development of the individual. Now, the story is order, chaos, higher order, roughly speaking. So you can get variants of that. You can get order collapses into disorder and nothing is resolved. That's a tragedy, right? And you can get, so you don't have to have the entire story represented in a story, but you get fragments of it. It's a classic U-shaped story. And what it is the story of the development of the individual across time as a consequence of his or her adventures in time and space. And every story is exactly that. And those are representations of the manner in which you come to be in the world, for better or for worse. And it's differentiated, so the individual has a negative and a positive element, and culture has a negative and a positive element, and nature does as well. And that makes the potential for plots much broader. And I think it's also very useful to know that entire story, because I think it's one of the things that protects you against ideology. It's like, okay, if someone tells you a political story, or a story of any sort, you can always ask, well, where are the missing characters? Human beings are terrible, they've erected a culture that's destroying the planet, and nature is benevolent and pristine. It's like, yeah, fair enough, accurate, but you're missing half the characters. Because humans are not just terrible, rapacious creatures, and culture is not just a destructive force, and nature is by no means on our side. So where's the missing characters? You need all the characters in the representation to get it right. And I really believe this to be true. So for example, if you want to protect yourself against trauma as you move forward in life, you have to be very aware of the three negative characters. You have to know that the human individual has an adversarial element that's malevolent right to the core. And if you don't know that, and you run across someone who's malevolent, you will end up damaged. So because first, you won't be able to defend yourself. You'll just be like a ripe fruit tree for the plucking. And second, the mere existence of someone like that will pose such a threat to the way that you've organized the world that it might collapse on you. That happens to people all the time. So it really matters whether you know these categories, and it matters that you know that culture can become tyrannical. But that it's also the father that's given you everything. And it matters that everything good comes from nature, and that we need to live in harmony with nature to some degree, but that it's also hell-bent on our destruction every second. And it's very paradoxical. It's a hard thing to reconcile with a thought structure like modern science that's based on a strict logic that always says something can't be itself and its opposite at the same time. But human beings can certainly be something and its opposite at the same time. And anything truly complex can have that, and does have that nature. If someone offers you a new job, you think, well, that's positive. It's like, no, it's not. It's positive and negative and complex. It might be the solution to your problem, but at the same time, it's going to generate a whole host of other problems. So lots of times, we're encountering entities in some sense that have an internally paradoxical structure, and we have to deal with that entire set of paradoxes, or we don't survive. It's really a matter of survival.